Welcome to the Fayetteville Fire Podcast, where we talk about all things fire-related, safety tips, and things that are happening in our can-do city. Captain Shakeshaft here, and don't forget Fire Prevention Week is coming up October 6th through the 12th. We'll find out about all the happenings around Fayetteville for that week at the end of the show. But joining me today is Lieutenant Jeremiah Price-Pecan. How's it going, LT?
It's good. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So how's LT life treating you?
It's different, but it's not at
Yeah?
the same time. Yeah, honestly. I've had a lot of people ask me that. Like, how's it going? You know, brand new LT. Is anything different? Is anything the same? Like, what's going on with it?
Yeah.
And up until probably a couple of days ago, I didn't really think about it. I didn't know what to tell them. I didn't know what to say. It's good though. I'm
Cool.
enjoying it. I'm having fun with it.
Well, dig in a little bit about you, man. You've been at this since Lafayette Village. 16 years old, something like that, rolling up in as a volunteer. How old were you?
1998. I was 16. Yeah. Honestly, I was riding around with, I call him my brother. You all know him as Chief McCardle, but we were just driving through the neighborhood in his truck, saw a house fire, and Lafayette Village was there. He's talking to the chief. Chief's like, we haven't had junior firefighters in a while. You guys want to try it out? I had no idea I could do that. Boom, here we are.
And mine was similar. I was working at Pizza Hut, and my boss was a volunteer. And I saw her speed out of the parking lot with her lights flashing, and I was like, I can leave work and drive fast? Like, that was literally my thought, not realizing any clue what I was getting into. But, yeah, so then you obviously you did some military time, left the fire service for a little while, right?
Yeah, probably 2004 was doing the fire department. Was actually at Stony Point right before I left. And then 2004, I decided I need a little more discipline. I needed some structure.
Say it ain't so.
Well, people would tend to disagree that I have any of that right now. But, just joined the military, did about 9 years. Was a medic, 2 tours to Iraq, stayed at Fort Campbell for most of it, and then came back in the last 2 years. I worked at Womack Army Medical Center.
Yeah. When did you come to Fayetteville? What year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I got out in 2000. I probably came back around 2011.
2011.
I was back, yeah.
When did you get hired with us?
Oh, when I got hired? August 1st, 2014.
14.
Mhm.
All right.
2014.
Cool. So when you were a firefighter, obviously we all think we've got the solutions to everything. Every firefighter's got the answer to every problem until you get that peek behind the curtain. But while you were a firefighter, you did some hazmat time, right?
Yeah, I did about 3 years. Yep.
Where else were you working at?
I was at 3. I went from 3 to 15, 15 to 7, 7 to 12, and then they turned around and they said, "Hey, man, you're going to hazmat." And I was like, "No, I'm good." They were like, "We're not asking, we're telling you." And then I ended up at 17.
And you turned out liking it.
It took me about 3 months. I had to open up my mind, and I had to actually listen to what was going on, but
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy it.
I keep telling the rookies as they come in while I'm out recruiting them, I'm like, trust it when you see it, believe it when it happens, and be ready for more change in 6 months. The station assignments are just constantly. You have some folks that they come here, they stay for 7 years at one firehouse. You have some folks. I was here for 14 years on a fire truck. I had 7 different assignments, and some of them were by choice, some of them weren't, but all of them added value.
Yeah.
Your experience in the different houses makes you kind of who you are.
I was at 14 for about a year. I was on the rescue team for about a year. Every station I went to, I learned something, good or bad, indifferent or otherwise. Every station taught me something, whether it was just about station life, whether it was about the next steps in my career, whatever it was. And you're right, I know people that have been on the same assignment for like 10 years, but there's still a wealth of knowledge coming from them. There's 2 different sides to it, and you never know what you're going to get.
You think about Captain Godwin, the mayor of Bonnie Doon.
Bonnie
I mean, if you needed to know, everybody in Fayetteville knew the guy. There wasn't an alleyway in Bonnie Doon he didn't know. He knew every street, every place. So they're a wealth of knowledge for where they're at.
Absolutely.
But what made you decide, you know what, I think now it's time to take this test. I think it's time to challenge myself. What made you make that leap?
So my first couple of years, like when I joined the fire department, I just got out of the military. It's probably been about 2 years that I've been out. And I was having some mental health stuff going on. And then, I mean, we all know it. There's a couple of policies with my name on it. I've been written up a few times.
Everybody's got a policy with their name on it.
Absolutely, right?
You learn from your mistakes.
So there was some room for growth personally, mentally, and then I had some other personal issues going on. Probably about the last 5 years. I started getting officers, things were changing. Like, I don't want this to take away from my first 5 years, the officers that I had, but I noticed changes that were going on above me. Mental health was starting to become, I'm not going to say an issue, but it was becoming something people started to talk about.
It was a focus.
It was a focus.
Yeah.
People weren't afraid to talk about it now. And I had chiefs and I had captains that were like, hey, you're forgetting things. And anybody listening right now knows I own 7 air tags on all of my equipment. You are constantly forgetting things. Why? What's the issue? And we started to solve the problems. And I started to get captains and chiefs that cared. Not that anybody else didn't, but they were showing me, hey, we want to make you a better person. And it started to get my morale up. It started to make me feel better about myself. All the personal issues were getting fixed on the other side. And the goal was always 10 years lieutenant, 10 years captain, and then the last 10 years, and I'm out. I'm going to do my 30, and then I'm going to call it what it is. But 9th year, I had Captain Rogerson. Amazing, amazing captain, an amazing human being. And he sat with me for a lot of things that were going on in my life. And he sat with me with a lot of things, and I learned so much from him. And it was a constant, you need to try out. You're ready. It was a constantly, the guys on the team, you can lead. You can do this. Like, we believe in you. You're already doing it. So why not? So I said, okay, you know what? It's a year before my 10-year mark, but let's do it. And I gave it a shot. Midpoint, placed midpoint on it.
Hey.
I'm not going to lie. If you're on the list, you're on the list.
If you're on the list, you met the standard.
Exactly.
You are who we are looking for an officer, or you wouldn't be on that list. That's how I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. Part of it was I was afraid to take that. I was afraid to take that test. I was afraid, I'm going to fail. I'm going to do bad. I'm going to look bad in front of my peers. And I got all these guys judging me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I didn't like that. I don't like to be judged. So I try not to judge other people, which it's hard to do. Don't get me wrong. So I learned something. Hey, just go do it. And the biggest quote I got out of it was, everybody said, just make a decision. Whether that decision ends up being right or wrong, just make a decision.
There you go.
And I took that with me through the test, made decisions on the test, the written test. I went in, we had our round robin of events. I made decisions, right or wrong, no matter what it was, and there it was. So it was officers, it was things that were changing above me, and I liked the way that this department was going.
Yeah.
Mental health, people were starting to be opening up about that. And I had officers that were not just there for me as a firefighter, but they were there for me as a human being, and as a father.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, because of the camaraderie, because of the brotherhood, because of everybody looking out for everybody, I started to feel a lot better. And I said, you know what? Let's do this.
When I went into my lieutenant's test, a lot of people, you'll hear them say, well, I don't care if I get it or not. And you know they're lying. You know that they care. But when I went into the test, I was at a house with a crew that I was so happy at that if I made it, awesome. That's great. I want to be that future leader. But if I don't make it, I also win. It's a win-win situation.
Win-win.
I stay right here as a firefighter. I keep enjoying doing the job I love, or I promote and I get to help people do the job I love and lead that. And you couldn't lose. But I'll tell you, after the test was over, because during the test you sign your confidentiality agreement, you can't say anything, right?
Can't talk
so
about it.
all the testing's finished, and we start talking to each other. And one guy's, hey, this went wrong. Hey, that went wrong. And I'm like, I might actually promote. That's when the nerves hit me, when it was like, holy cow, this actually is going to happen.
Right.
That's when I got a little nervous about the letting people down and not, as a leader, I don't want to let somebody down. But those nerves didn't hit me until it was like, hey, this is coming, Bubba. Get ready.
Yeah. You're on the bubble.
Yeah.
We call it on the bubble. You're
Yep.
next up. You're in the batter's box. It's ready to go. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Lord, I might actually have to sit in that officer's seat at some point, not just drive the
Yep.
actual engine. I have to make decisions. Oh, I don't want to let this captain down. I don't want to let this chief down. I don't want to let the firefighters that I've been fighting fire with for the last 10 years and running medical calls and doing all this stuff and the camaraderie, I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So I just had to go back to just make a decision, roll with it.
And you brought up, I might have to crew, I might have to do this. One of the things, I stayed a lieutenant probably longer than I should have. But I mean, everything happens for a reason. But it was because I was so happy in that role. You get to do every job in the fire station, and you're still learning this. You're how many days in? Are you 60 days in, 90 days in?
It was I think 3 months.
3 months, 90 days in, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You get to do, as a lieutenant, you're driving for the captain or you're the company officer on a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to do both. You get to fill in for the captain when the captain's not there, and get to make those decisions that are no longer controlled decisions. You're making them. You're having to make that choice. But then also, when you have master firefighters who are wanting to come up, one of the things I'm very proud of, we've gotten a lot better at as an organization, that we're succession planning. We're training our master firefighters. We're getting them ready. So now you also get to either drive for a master firefighter for a few hours while they practice how to crew, or ride backwards for a master firefighter while they practice crewing with the captain. So you literally get to do every job. Like, a master firefighter gets to do every job on the fire truck, but they rarely get to crew.
Right.
They do, but very rarely. A lieutenant truly gets to do everything. And that's what I loved about it. That's why I loved coming to work every day, and I stayed a lieutenant probably just a little bit too long, just because I was happy in that role.
So you're absolutely right, and that's the question that's come up a lot, is what's different. I'm gonna be honest with you. Besides the behind the scenes, like image trend and time cards and training calendars, there's no different than the last 3 years where I was a master firefighter driving the engine, or like you said, Captain Rogerson would let me crew for a couple hours.
Yep.
All right. Or I'm on the back of the truck. It is. Lieutenant and master firefighter are so close together. If you've been a master firefighter for 3 to 5 years, and you have people telling you, "Hey man, you should promote," try.
Yeah.
Just take the test, find out where you're at, because that job, being a master firefighter, was just preparing you for lieutenant, and that's how I'm looking at lieutenant right now. It is preparing me to be a captain. Yeah. Captain Maxwell, my captain right now, he said, "What do you need the most work on?" I was like, "Paperwork."
Yeah.
I don't understand time cards.
Yeah.
And he's been teaching me. He's like, "Here, time cards are yours." Yeah. He's like, and I've been doing time cards for the last 90 days. He's like, "I want you to make a training calendar for next month." Okay, where'd I got it? He's like, "Hey, we've got, 6-month evaluations coming up." He's like, "You're brand new, so you don't get an evaluation. Instead, I want you to go through this process with me so you know how to do it."
That was one of the cool things. Damian Locklear, back before he went to become, fire chief somewhere else, it was one of the things he kind of, I saw him do, and it taught me, is that, like, this month the captain's going to do all the paperwork and the lieutenant's going to QC it and double check it. Then next month the lieutenant's going to do all the paperwork and the captain's going to QC it. Then the next month you might have a master firefighter who's preparing to promote, so they're going to do all the paperwork. And it's that constant planning and working together and getting folks ready for that next step. I've always said, when we do our evaluation systems, it's hard to exceed expectations when you have a job that encompasses everything we do. How do you exceed expectations at a job when the expectation is you exceed expectations, right?
Right.
But we shouldn't be promoting if we're not exceeding expectations. And I'm not saying that on paper, because I'm not trying to push that on anybody, what the paper says. But as a captain, if you're not exceeding my expectations as a lieutenant, I'm not doing something right to prepare you for that next step. So
absolutely. You say exceeds expectations, and I totally agree with that. This job requires you to do that every day.
Yeah.
But then again, they also get us with any job not
all duties assigned.
All duties assigned, right? So we have to be 110% every day.
Yeah, I'm talking more on a one-on-one level, not so much what's on that piece of paper. We can make you shine on a piece of paper,
right.
But what's the reality of how we're interacting as a crew? That you should be exceeding the expectations, or that means as a supervisor, which you are now, you're not doing your thing if that individual is not, if they're capable and not stepping up. If that
right.
person is capable and they're capable, it is equally our job to supervise as it is to motivate and to drive and to push those folks. You can't motivate everybody. Not everybody's going to want to promote, but it is my job to motivate those folks that are capable and we see that potential in. And that's your role now, buddy.
Ooh.
Welcome to the world, my friend.
Yeah, making decisions, motivating.
When you came into this, any surprises? Has anything hit you in the first 90 days other than seeing that back end and having your eyes opened to the big picture paperwork stuff? Any surprises at all?
Honestly, how many times I've been in the officer's seat, like crewing
Yeah.
an engine. I honestly was just like, I didn't see it a lot.
You don't notice it.
You don't notice it.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And it's like every day that I knew that Captain Maxwell was going to be gone, like today, like he's riding.
He's
BC,
riding battalion chief. He's riding
battalion
up,
chief.
which means everybody below rides up.
Yep. You got to
Here
know
come.
1 up, 2 down.
Yep.
That's the way the military taught me that, and I wholeheartedly believe that for the fire department. I need to know 1 up and 2 jobs down. I can't teach you if I don't know what your job was, and I'm learning what this job is, so I need to know what it is. And so I'm in the front seat, and I'm not gonna lie, I drive to work every day, and you get like a little tightness in the chest. I'm not saying I'm calling 911, but it's just like I have to make decisions today. I'm responsible for equipment, but more importantly, I'm responsible for these people's lives today. And it kind of gets to you, so I take a deep breath, you know, I just say what everybody taught me before: just make a decision, and that's it.
And that feeling will, I don't want to say you'll grow out of it, because that's a cliche, but like you said, you're coming in and you've got that little quease of today, I got to lead today, got to make decisions today, and I think over time it'll start to transition to if something major is going on, that's when that comes in. Like you're dealing with a difficult personality at work, or you know that you're trying to get this person ready. That's those little things will trip it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at it similar to we don't have a fear of fire, but we have a respect for fire. I don't have a fear of being a leader, but I respect the responsibility that I carry. So, holy cow, man, you just put them glasses on.
I look
and
old, don't I?
Wow.
Yeah.
From our days at Cumberland Road, we've both not aged well.
No,
The
not at
job
all. Knees, back.
you can't see what I'm seeing right now. Everybody listening to the podcast, his glasses down on his nose. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. The eyesight definitely went out last year, so
Your mustache isn't quite as gray as mine yet, but it'll get there.
You know what? I don't know, man. My grandpa, he died with a full head of hair and not a gray in sight. So I might not get the grays.
You talk about coming into leadership new. When I became the recruiter and I had to run the academy for the first 5 years, the running joke right now is that I look like a president coming out of office after 4 years, where they go in looking young and vibrant and they come out looking gray and tired just in that 5 years, of that level of responsibility on you. It's you'll see it come. Give it a little time.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, what kind of stuff? Not so much goals to when you're future career stuff, but what kind of goals do you have as a lieutenant running your fire station? What are you looking at it yourself, saying these are the places that I want to see myself grow or myself do, or I can contribute to the agency? Because that's a big thing for me is how can I contribute to the growth that motivated me to want to be in the position I'm in? What are you looking for?
Well, I mean, everybody always says there's a position that they want. So I want to go back to hazmat. You asked me 3 years ago, and I'd be like, I don't want to be no glowworm.
Yeah.
But here I am promoting and saying I want to go back to hazmat, and that's where I want to be a part of that team.
Yeah.
I want to be training, future hazmat techs, try to tell people it's not as bad as you think it is. Give it a chance is what I'm saying. I want Lieutenant Rob's job. Like, I would love to be able to go out to the training academy and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 classes come through and help mold and prepare these human beings to become Fayetteville firefighters and to motivate them. The only other thing I can say without a position is I just want to keep pushing mental health and keep pushing the family model.
Yeah.
We've been trying at 16 for the last 3 months to all get together. Like, let's find an event. Let's go do something together outside of the fire department.
We used to do that all the time back in the day.
Yeah, but
hockey games.
But COVID.
Yep.
COVID knocked it out. But now I want to push that back. And I want to push back also on the mental health. Like, it's okay, dude. If you want to talk, let's talk. If you don't want to if you want to talk to the chaplains, go talk to the chaplains. If you want to talk to the peer support team, go talk to the peer support team. Bro, if you just want to go sit on the tailboard of the engine and discuss life's problems, let's do it.
The best lessons I ever learned were with a slice of watermelon on the front bumper of a truck, whether it was at 2 with Jackie Lee or at 9 with Captain Godwin. some of those voices, those are the best lessons I ever learned. I can tell you that much. I didn't need a formal counseling session when you had that.
Kitchen table, any kitchen table
Yep.
in a firehouse, you could probably solve the world's problems.
For sure, man. For sure. So, and then long term, you know, you said you're looking. Eventually, you're gonna be a captain one day, whether it's 10 years from now or 5 years from now. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? So,
Absolutely.
Eventually, the goal is to be there. What does that look like for you as far as preparing for that? How as a brand new officer, you're still learning your job. What's the preparation for the future as a brand new officer? What can these folks do? Again, 90 days in, you're thinking short term, you're thinking long term. What are you thinking long term?
Long term, again, change plans. I said 10, 10, and 10, right?
Yep.
Now it's, okay, I did it in 9, and you know what? The next time the captain's promotion comes up and I'm eligible for it, I'm going to test. And I already know, like, it's not like the last one. If I don't make it, I don't make it. But at least I know where I stand. What do I need to work on?
And you're going to learn through that process.
Absolutely.
You learn from preparing for the process. And again, I broke my own advice by staying a lieutenant so long. I told everybody, if you're eligible, test so you can learn from the process. I tested for BC a lot this past year, but the year before, came out 4th. I didn't promote, but I was still super happy with my performance. I was very proud of myself, of what I did there. And it all worked out because now I got the job that I've been wanting for so long. And I stayed a captain, and I was able to stay in the position that I've wanted for years, and grateful for that. So, yeah, man. Any other words of wisdom for the new officer rolling in just your 90 days?
Make a decision.
There you go.
Make a decision.
3 words. That's all you need. Make a decision. All right, man. Well, thank you for joining me today. I know we had to pull you out of your routine for the day to come hang out, but thanks for hanging out with me. And we're going to wrap things up just to let everybody know what's going on for our upcoming Fire Prevention Week. Busiest week for the Fayetteville Fire Department the whole year. We're going to be in all the schools across the city, as many as we can cram into 5 days. We're going to be visiting some schools and some events. Then we're going to wrap up the week with a little bit more somber of an event with our Cumberland County Fallen Firefighters Memorial. That memorial is going to take place at the new regional training facility for FTCC, which is off of Tom Starling Road. You can get all the information on our Facebook page, on our social medias. We will have everything out there. If you can't make any of the events, keep an eye on our social media, and you will be able to join us virtually through that stuff, whether it's photos after the fact or some videos live in person. So thank you for joining us for the Fayetteville Fire Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to Radio Fayetteville on all your favorite streaming platforms to listen to all of our podcasts. Join us next month, and until then, stay safe, Fayetteville.